Hello and welcome back to KNF Design. If you're new here, my name is Katie, and I try to bring a wide variety of different craft projects to you. If you ever have a craft project you would like me to show you how to make, or just want to see me try to make it, let me know down below, and I'll try my best to bring that to you. If you like today's craft project, make sure to hit those thumbs up. It really does mean a lot to me, and it helps bring my crafting videos to more crafters like you. Don't forget to also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you don't miss out on any of our crafting fun. So with that, let's get crafting.
So for this file, there's not a whole lot you have to do. For some reason, when you open it in Cricut, it is moving it a little bit. The bunnies aren't in this correct spot. I think it's because Cricut just did an update maybe, but it's not a big deal. So we want to, actually before we ungroup it, well, it's ungrouped now, and we can see these bunnies quite large. I mean, 4 inches tall. This will be huge. So let's size it down a little bit. So with everything sized, 37 inches wide, that's also why it's telling you, hey, this is way too big. I think I'm gonna try 10 inches. Then let's ungroup it. It makes my bunny still about an inch and still about an inch there as well. The mat is 4 by 5. So you gotta watch this little space here. Might be a little small. We'll see how it works. Really, besides the sizing, you don't have to do anything else. But I'm going to add a fun cardstock to each piece, which means I need to duplicate everything. So I selected everything, right click, and duplicate. You can also hit duplicate up here as well. If maybe you want the mat to be foam and just to put the extra cardstock on the bunnies and the eggs, then you could do that. I don't need to repeat the same, so I will just need one. And in fact, I'm going to make mine white. And then this will be foam, that will be foam, but these are going to be cardstock. So just so they don't go on the same mat, I'm going to switch them to a different color. And same with these. All of these are going to be on a white. Oops, I didn't select all of them. I thought I missed that one. On a white foam, so I'm changing those to white. I have the pink foam, which will be, technically my foam is probably too small for both, so I'll need one of them to be a different shade of pink. Just make it red. So we have our 2 foams and the white for the foam. So that'll be good. And then I have a light pink fun cardstock and a dark pink. So let's just pick a different color for those two, since those cardstocks will be different. And then that'll go on top of there. And then the bunnies will be one color, and the eggs will be this fun striped cardstock. But we don't want them to be the same color as that, so let's just make them green. Alright, so I just changed colors so things were on different mats. We have some foam pieces and cardstock, so if you don't want to cover up the foam with cardstock, or maybe you're doing a pretty wood, you don't need to do any of that. You just need to size and go. When we are cutting foam, I'm going to make it on a mat. So, well, technically this will need to go to another mat because this will be a vinyl. So we can just add it to another mat. Let's also just make it white. But it knows it needs to go to a separate mat. That'll be fine. Now, these bunnies are going to be on foam, but this foam I'm using has a sticky on the back. Usually you'd put the sticky down so the foam's facing up, but this time I'm going to do it upward so that way I can stick the cardstock to it. So I'm going to mirror all of them. The eggs, they don't change because it's the same shape. Then I also need to mirror one of the back pieces and one of these front pieces. If you don't use this special foam that has that sticky like I'm doing, then you don't need to worry about this. But let's just check. That'll be a cardstock. That'll be a cardstock. 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 And that will be vinyl. I'm just using a permanent vinyl. Technically, you can do HTV on cardstock, so if you want to do that, you could. Just make sure you heat it onto the cardstock before you apply the cardstock to the foam, because that heat will melt that foam. So let's go up. So that's the foam. We'll continue. And you want to go up to Browse Material, and we'll do foam. You could also say craft foam. Now, let's see, done. And it says load the deep point blade for foam. Now, the deep point blade is the black blade, so you may or may not have that tool. If you don't, you can try other things. I have cut it with the rotary, especially since we're covering it up. That could work. The rotary blade, that works in the Maker. The deep point works in both the Explorer and the Makers. You could even try your regular blade. I haven't tried it with the regular blade, but I do have the deep point, so that's what I'm going to be using. Now, once this is cut, I'll show you how to assemble it all. So first thing, I placed my foam on my mat. This is that sticky side I was telling you about. So that is up. Then we have these star wheels. This will make creases in our foam, and as you can see, this foam already has a few creases down here. So it does crease easily, and if those go over it, it will also make lines in it. So we'll just push them off to the side, and we can see that it's not going to go over our foam. You also want to make sure you don't have foam that's too big to fit underneath the roller. And then this is that deep cut blade that we were talking about. So to replace it, you just pull that lever, take out your fine point blade, and then you can put your deep cut in, and we're ready to go. So it might look like it's messing it up, but it's just actually the paper itself, that sticky paper that we need to remove anyway. So don't let that bother you. Just be careful pulling it up so you don't stretch it. But see, it comes out nicely. I ended up doing more pressure on the foam. I noticed, especially with the small detail of the bunnies, that more pressure was best. And then since it has all these scrap pieces, you need to make sure your blade is clean. So you can see there's a giant chunk of paper on it. So just to help get some of that off, you can just poke it into the aluminum foil ball, and that just helps clean that blade. Make sure you look at your machine as well. If there's any little bits of the paper, just clean it after you do this. And then now I'm going to cut my cardstock. Now the eggs are lined up this way, but I want the lines to go this way, so I'm just going to go into my dashboard there on my screen and just move some of them so they're like in a line this way versus that way, and just make sure your paper is oriented correctly for things like that, for the pattern papers. When unloading cardstock, I like to flip the paper over and pour it up. And then if little pieces stick like that, it's okay. You can just kind of bend it like that. It's one of those papers, it was like in between settings, so I wasn't quite sure how much pressure, but that's okay. We can just bend it and get nice clean lines. And then if any of your cardstock sticks to your paper, I like to just peel it up like that, and then they come up nice, or you could scrape off extra pieces of scrap. So we have all the pieces here for the bunnies. Apparently the mirroring I said you had to do, you didn't have to do, because these were the bunnies originally. They should have worked well with this one, and as you can see, they don't. It does have this really pretty pink side, so I could have just done that, but then with the pink of the background, I thought it would blend in too much. So I did cut the bunnies out again, but this time I also mirrored the bunnies, so they matched that mirror. So yeah, disregard the mirroring thing that I said you had to do. I don't know what I was thinking. And actually, when I was cutting this out originally, I was gonna have that piece on top, and it was nice and all pink. And then you have the little bunnies that go inside. Get some eggs in there. It's just very pink, and I had the other side of that was this really pretty blue, and I'm kind of liking that better. So the nice thing with this is everything except for the bunnies is reversible. So I'm just gonna go with the blue side, which then meant my white vinyl would not look good against that. It would blend in too much. So I decided to do this pretty silver color. So let's start assembling. So the first piece, let's start with the back. And because it is the nice sticky version, I don't know why it's so dirty underneath, because it had that on it, but that's all right. And then we can just stick the cardstock. This one has a textured side and a non-textured side. I think I'm going to go with the textured side. The corners are slightly different. It's a little bit more rounded here versus here, so just make sure you line those up. Now, I mean, the foam's pretty. You could have just left it like that, but because foam gets scratched easily, that's why I kind of protected it with the cardstock so it won't show scratches and being played with as much. You could cut another piece and cover the back if you want, but I thought it was fine and I didn't. So this next piece, you could go either way. You could remove the foam backing and attach it that way, or you could flip it, attach that, and then glue it like that. Either way works. So I think I'm going to do it this way. Alright, now that that backing's off, I think I'm going to attach it down here just so you don't see any of that seepage. Again, it kind of has the more rounded corners as well. Some more rounded corners is the top. Cat hairs. Alright, that looks good. And then to attach that, I'm going to apply a little bit of glue. The nice thing about this project too is you can use the same template and then just change out like the bunnies or the saying that we're going to put on the top. And you can make it for a different holiday or all year round theme Tic Tac Toe board. You can also make it out of wood or cardboard. You could just make it out of cardstock even. All kinds of things to make. A lot of variations. Alright, I'm not going to bore you, but I'm going to then just remove the backing and attach all the eggs and bunnies together. Alright, I went ahead and attached that cardstock to the back of a foam, and I just like that it gives it that little extra depth. It's kind of fun. Makes it a little bit easier to grab onto. You could be done here, but I'm going to add a fun little saying to the top. Also, side note, you do see, it's not fully dry yet, you do see the foam on the side, so I would make sure, like I did, match it like the pink so it kind of matches. I weeded out all the unwanted pieces. This silver vinyl stuff, it's like metallic. I don't recommend using it if you are not skilled at weeding or have patience for weeding. It is a pain. I ran it through actually 3 times and it still probably needed a 4th. So just a heads up, if you really like that metallic, definitely run it through your machine a couple times because it just doesn't seem to cut well for some reason. And now we'll just transfer it to our transfer tape. I probably could have been more straight, but that's alright. As long as I'm straight on here. And then if pieces stick, then you can just kind of press them down with your tool here. Just be careful with the paper that this doesn't tear it. This is actually magic cover from Dollar Tree. It's not very sticky. It's been used a few times. That's one reason why it didn't catch on my paper, but there we go. And now we have a little game piece and we can play Tic Tac Toe. This would be great to take in like a car trip, something like that. The kids could play. But yeah, I just think it would be, there we go, so no one wins. It's just a fun little piece. If it gets torn up in the car, it's okay because it's just foam and cardstock, so it wasn't too difficult to make. Again, you can make different ones for different holidays. You could have done this out of cardstock instead of vinyl if you wanted, or no title at all. You if you did no title, then you would just switch out these pieces and you could actually keep that. Up to you. Very versatile on the materials that you can use, but I do like this foam cardstock one. It just kind of is a nice feel, has a little bit of to it, but not too much. And then it just, even these, I recommend the foam on these just so it's a little bit easier to hold on to. Might hold up a little bit better than just cardstock. But yeah, I'm really happy how this cute little Easter Tic Tac Toe board
turned out. Again, great for co-rides, maybe going to the grandparents' house for Easter. They can play this in the car as they go to keep them busy, things like that. I hope you had fun crafting this little tic-tac-toe board with me, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Happy crafting!